How did Group 95 start?
Well, Paul Van Sommer and I were corresponding with each other when he lived in South Africa, and when he returned to the UK, he used to call around at 1 Barons Avenue, and we started chatting from there. There was no sort of cine club, 95 cine clubs that were interested in carrying on with 95. Apparently, they were, they're all on the sort of downward trend. He and I chatted for quite a while, different ways of pumping some life into it. And what happened was we decided then that we would start a cine club, Group 95. The idea of Group 95 was Paul's idea. We did this because we used to have we had a warehouse next door where I was running a mail order business, and we used to have a lot of people coming in and buying film from us, 9.5 film, and it started from there. The real start of Group 95, when we had quite a few members, 10, 20 members at the time, 30 members, we used to meet in a pub in the Ealing Road at Wembley. I forget the name of the pub, but it's changed now anyway. We had our first real get-together, which has not been mentioned as a get-together before, was in a gospel hall in the Ealing Road, when we had a visitor, which the name of Mr. Withers, Pathescope, who paid us a visit with some of the later GUS type 9.5 projectors, the Europe, etc. He had a really good show and really good attendance, about I think 50, 60, maybe 70 there.
How many people came to the sort of regular meetings? Because were they every few weeks?
Well, it varied. We were generally together every month at least, and we all kept in touch, by phone or letter or whatever. It was a very, very friendly, convivial, and it was always near a pub or in a pub. But it was very, very enjoyable. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, I just wondered why you were so enthusiastic about 9.5. Really, what got you so involved with 9.5?
Well, when I was at school, the only gauge around was 9.5 for anybody interested in sort of cine. And it started then. Earlier on in my working career, I started at cinema, and things sort of changed to 35mm, which stayed me, with me for a while until I went in the army. When I came out of the army, I went straight back into 9.5 and always have been. I remember the first time I saw a 9.5 sound projector, a massive box. You couldn't lift at that time, but Pathe Super Box, which I saw at. It's funny, that was at Crickle too. But now once it gets you in its crutches, you can't sort of just leave it because it's always there. I remember as a school kid playing in the shelters with a 9.5 projector, and light wasn't very good. I think it was a piccolo projector. There's a funny story about that is piccolo projector was my first camera. Not a lot of people know that. I had a charger film in a cardboard box with the bottom part was cut so it went round my waist, and the top part was where I had my head. After having all the projector and that in the box, and in a special tube which came out of the box, just in front of the projector, my camera assistant, used to wrap a scarf around my neck, and the lids closed around my neck. All the lighting was preset. How did you focus it? A piccolo projector. Easy really, because there was a strip of film in there, and the light, which is before I opened the charger, with a reload, right? The strip of film was put in the gate, focused on the subject, which in fact was a person, about 11-year-old, something like that, in a tin hat with a warden on it, warden sign on it, because this was about the war, you know. And we focused the image that was in the projector on the face. The handle was turned at the correct, you know, silent speed. How it came out very, very good, unbelievably good. My few visits to Pathescope were to collect film, which was on the very sort of teetering edge. And my only recollection was in their washroom. The soap didn't have a soap dish. They were upturned metal H charger lids. I didn't think a lot, and didn't have much to do with Pathescope before that. In the first version of Lights Out and the Stars Appear, when I was in the Middlesex Street warehouse, Pathescope were on the way down, and things were up for sale. The whole point of going to the warehouse was to buy mainly, actually, production equipment, not cameras and projectors and things like that. There weren't a lot of cameras and projectors there. There were lots of pack cameras and a lot of Princess projectors, but they were, you know, a real sort of a no-no. The idea was good with the Princess projector because you could show still shots, which made it reasonably attractive for a lot of people. I used to, you know, shoot lots of still frames on 9.5, which was acceptable on a small sort of TV size screen. Main attraction with the Pathescope sale, as far as I was concerned, was the production equipment. The perforators, the slitters, the processing equipment was, well, it's a funny thing about the processing equipment. The film processing equipment you buy Pathescope at the time, the tanks were made from submarine battery tanks, and they were quite about 100 each, and there was quite a few of those, so we weren't interested in that. My main interest was to pump some life into 9.5, camera-wise. I've never really been a, how can I put it, a film buff as such. I mean, I've got lots of films and like sort of early films, some of them, but my interest was in the production side, and at that time I never thought that it would grow in the early 60s to what it did. I'm very pleased with the you know, with all the effort that was put in by, you know, people that used to work with us as well, and of course the customers. The most important people are the customers. No use them making tons and tons of film and nobody buying it.
Presumably that's what people wanted at the time. There was no way of getting 9.5 film suddenly.
Well, the main problem was the apparent cheapness of, you know, standard 8 compared to 9.5.
If there hadn't been any 9.5 film, everyone would have just gone on to 8mm, wouldn't they? Probably,
yeah.
Do you think you saved that happening then?
Well, I played a good part in it, I think. The Prince camera, which came out in profusion after Pathescope demise, was a good camera, and still is in many cases. The actual Prince camera, which was made by Smiths of Cricklewood, how can I put it? It had Pathescope trademarks on it, which had to be covered up. Pathescope never owned them, apparently, never paid for them, I don't know, but they never owned the main batch that we bought, which was about 12 or 1500. The main problem is the badge on the side, Pathescope badge on the side, had to come off. That was had 3 rivets on it, that had to come off. And the inside Pathescope, made by Smiths of Cricklewood, had to be covered up with matte black aluminium plates, which was done. We actually bought them through PM Cox of Cricklewood, who was the, I don't know whether they was involved in any way with a receiver or what, but they had them. And they were packed when we bought them, all brand new, all in greaseproof paper, wrapped in, I think, 10 in a box. And we bought, you know, quite a few of those. They're a very good camera, and we sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. We were doing very well, and I think all the accolades should go to John Taylor, who used to run the processing lab. He used to eat, sleep and drink in the processing lab, which was quite close to our warehouse at the time. And we got through the 600 films a week, and that was without a sundry. We used to do about 100 films a day, 6 days a week. It depends how you look at it. It sounds a lot or it doesn't sound a lot, but it sounded a lot to us. ICO were the importers of the Cinejol 9.5 projector, and we were their, I say we, I was their biggest buyer of Cinejol projectors, which we used to sell very well, and they're marvellous projectors. They had other items which were of interest, 9.5, but Lapierres and things like that, which we used to bring them in wooden crates. Wooden crates with about, I think, it used to be 20 or something in a crate, with straw. And the wooden crates were fine, and the straw was fine, because we used to have people with rabbits, and the projectors were hand turned, and they were good. They were all right. They were all right as toys, and they were toys.
What was the best, when you were doing that, when you were selling the equipment, can you say what the best selling equipment was then? Best selling 9.5?
What, projector wise?
Yeah. Any idea?
Well, I think the most we used to sell were Cinejols, the Gs and the GRs. We did fairly well with the Hertia Super Tri, which that was we used to sell them at £98. That was a registered price you had to sell it at. But it didn't stop you giving a couple of rolls of film as a, you know, a sweetener or something like that. I've got one of the original Pathe factory perforating machines, which came from a very good friend actually, Andre Ligony in Paris. He used to run the biggest cine shop in Paris. Very helpful. Always wanted to promote 9.5, and he attended several of the shows with us. One was in London, Cine Fair, and a few over in Paris. When we got the perforator home from Heathrow Airport, that was flown over. We couldn't bring it back ourselves. We picked the perforator up, and within about an hour of getting it home, we were perforating film. We purchased also from Pathescope at the Middlesex Street warehouse the 995 printer and 995 slitter, which enabled us to produce a lot of the films that we did. The most beneficial part of importing film was when normal film was imported from France to this country, you paid per linear foot of film. And I think at that time, just say it was a penny a foot per linear foot of film. That means that per linear foot of 995 unslit was only a third. That's why it enabled us to bring the price down to 25 shillings a 100 foot. And we were bringing all the film office releases through, and we're passing them on. If you read in the early editions of Group 95 magazine, we were selling them at quite a good price. There wasn't enough profit in it to supply the shops like we were later did with camera film, but we were bringing hundreds of films in, and the collectors were very pleased, except the people that thought they had originals in this country are flooded with more originals.
How many years have you been playing with 9.5 then?
I don't like to say it. But
Oh, right. Just thought that question.
Huh?
No, you don't have to. I was just gonna...
No, since the 40s actually. That's 60 years. That's a long bloody time, isn't it?
And you still like it though?
Oh, I'm still as mad as I was then.